Emotional infidelity. My husband, 29M, and I, 31F, have been married nearly 5 years, together for 8. We are coming up on our 5th anniversary together. We've had some problems the past few years. My husband is an Army vet and left 2 years ago because I told him I couldn't live that life forever. When we got together, he was planning to stay in 3 more years and leave. He ended up staying almost 5 years. I felt like I made so many sacrifices. Where we lived far from family and friends, my career was put on hold because some of the places we lived didn't have opportunities in my field. But he always promised that he would get out, finish school, and go into nursing school. He was a trauma medic, basically EMT. When he got out, he was nervous about leaving the military after so long, joined at 18. But he was excited to move on and further his career as a civilian. He has great experience and quickly was accepted to a bachelor's program and on track for the nursing program. He got a job with a pediatric hospital and was loving it. Some major issues started while he was working at the hospital. He was working as a med tech in the ED. Most of the people he worked with were women. I didn't have an issue with that and met a lot of the people he worked with at events and really liked them. But I did start noticing that my husband suddenly was posting a lot more to Instagram, mainly on his stories. Seemingly harmless, yes, but he had never done this often before. He also started texting / sending female coworkers memes and chatting a lot. I told him it made me a little uncomfortable because he didn't seem to be making any male friends. Majority of coworkers are female, but there are 5 to 7 guys he worked with regularly too. Context. I'm a more cautious and distrusting person. My parents' marriage ended because of infidelity, and I have been cheated on by previous partners. My husband's parents' marriage also suffered infidelity. He always promised he could never do that to me, and I felt the same. I was raised strictly, and lying was pretty much the worst offense in my house. I do see the irony given the infidelity in my parents' marriage. I've always told my husband, even if it's bad, I want to know the truth. We can work through anything as long as you are accountable and honest with me. Over the years, he has told me lies here and there that have really affected my trust. He had been messaging with an ex-girlfriend on Instagram and never told me. He only told me when I saw a notification about it pop up while his phone was sitting on the table. A few other instances, not involving another person, happened over the years as well. I told him every time he lies, it makes it harder for me to rebuild that trust. Most of the time he brushed it off, saying that I have a bad reaction to things and he was trying to avoid a fight. But we talked through it, and I tried to let things go after he assured me he would be honest, even if it upset me. Back to his job. He told me one afternoon that he was like to go golfing with one of the girls that he works with and another guy that he works with. He asked me if I wanted to go also. However, he scheduled the tea time at 11 a.m. in the middle of the work week. I work a typical 9 to 5, so he knew I wasn't going to be able to go after the golf outing. I asked him more about this girl that had been there. He said she is 24 and is also a med tech where he works. He said she has a boyfriend and is just someone that he's friends with. He said he really doesn't know her that well. The other guy that he works with is the one that suggested they invite her because he knew she golfed. I asked him what she looked like, and he asked if I was jealous jokingly. He said she was so young and he wasn't attracted to her. A week or 2 later, we were at a concert with friends staying overnight near the venue. We had a really fun time, and when we got back to the hotel, we were sitting in bed looking for something to watch on TV while we fell asleep. I noticed that he was on his phone texting, and I asked who he was texting so late. He really didn't want to tell me and said just a friend, and I said what friend. It was the same girl that he had gone golfing with. He said they were just chatting about something funny that happened to her at the night shift. She was working. I asked him if I could see the messages, and he showed me. There were only 2 messages, one from him and one from her that I could see. The rest had been deleted. I asked him if these were the first messages they had ever shared, and he said no, the thread had been deleted previously. I didn't understand why, but he assured me it was just because he didn't care about the messages and was cleaning up his message inbox. Fast forward a month or so. My husband quit his job because of serious concerns about his manager. He said she was terrible at her job and kept messing up his schedule, and even passed him over when he had seniority for a better shift. When he confronted her about it, she said it was a mistake that she couldn't fix. He loved the job and was really upset about how everything happened. I asked him the day he quit if he had spoken with any of his colleagues. He told me he had talked to one of his friends whom I've met and like, but they had just texted that. I asked if he had talked to the girl he went golfing with, and he said no, I'm sure she'll find out from someone else. For those few days after he quit, he was really upset and kept going on long walks with his headphones. I assumed it was just time to listen to music and recharge. A few days later on the weekend, my husband and I were sitting watching a show, and we were looking to order food. We had the food app pulled up on his phone. I'm not sure why I did it. I know it's not right, but I looked at his phone log. I had been getting this nagging feeling in my gut, and when I saw the phone log, saw the girl that he worked with. He said he hadn't talked to, had been called her multiple times in the past few days. They talked for nearly an hour total. The worst part is one of the calls in between his call with her was a call from me. It looked like he was on the phone with her, hung up, answered my call, then called her back once our call was finished. I immediately freaked out and asked him why he had lied and said he hadn't talked to her when it was obvious that he had. He said they had just been talking about the job and some issues she was having with her boyfriend. I asked him why he lied and didn't mention it to me sooner. He got defensive and said I shouldn't have been looking through his phone anyway. I asked him if they had also been texting, and he said they had, but he did not have the text to show me because he had deleted the messages. My husband has always kept his text messages very cleaned up, but it was extremely weird that he had deleted her text messages recently. We talked through it, and he apologized, saying that he would set a boundary with her because they were just friends, but he understood that it was inappropriate to speak to her without telling me and to talk about intimate things like her relationship or our relationship. Last night, I was almost finished working and came into our bedroom to chat with my husband, who was watching TV. When I opened the door, he was in the middle of texting and immediately closed out of the message app and tried to hide his phone. I asked him what he was doing and who he was texting. He admitted that he had been texting the same girl. He assured me that he was just texting her about what he and I had talked about, that he needed to set a boundary with her. I had a horrible gut feeling, and so I asked him to show me the text messages to verify what he was saying. He adamantly refused. He said, I need you to trust me. Nothing in the text is bad, but I'm not going to show you. I told him I didn't believe him, that if the texts weren't bad, he shouldn't have any issue with me seeing them. He refused. So, I told him either show me the messages and we try to work through it even if it's not great, or he is making a choice to break my trust and I can no longer be in this relationship. I hate myself for issuing an ultimatum, but in the moment I was so livid and knew what was in those messages couldn't be good if he was refusing to show me. He told me he would not show me and immediately got his headphones and walked out the door. When he came back, I told him that I was done. My trust has been irreparably damaged, and even if he were to show me the messages, I wouldn't trust it at this point. He also confirmed that he had already deleted their message thread. This morning he left before I woke up and turned off his location on his phone. When he came back, he said he had been at a coffee shop for about 3 hours. I told him that I was still planning to end the relationship and wanted to know if he wanted to be honest about things with this other girl. He told me that she does like him and that she has told him that. He then said that he is attracted to her and that it's very nice to feel attention from someone else. He assured me that nothing physical has happened between them, but that really doesn't make me feel any differently. He said he technically hasn't done anything or cheated on me and hasn't done anything wrong. I am holding true to what I said. I am so hurt and really don't want a divorce, but I think my trust is too damaged and I don't think I would ever feel secure in our relationship again. I don't know for sure if she and my husband were ever physical. I don't think I trust everything he's saying. But even if they haven't been, it's the lying and the sneakiness that is so impossible to move past. TLDR/ my husband has been texting with a coworker who he said was just a friend. He was hiding it and I found out that they've been communicating a lot. He said she likes him and he is also attracted to her. I told him that even if they haven't done anything physically, the lying and the sneaking around has done irreparable damage to my trust.